What's up, RotoGrinders? Welcome to the Underdog Fantasy Show here at RotoGrinders.com. Our draft is getting started. We actually got lucky enough to kind of pop in here, and there was already a lot of people waiting. So, Beer, you're picking at 5. I'm picking at 10. We're going to get through these first few picks, and then I'm going to tell you all about Underdog Fantasy. Ton of fun. Love what they're doing over there. Love best ball. Glad we got it back. I wish we got it back like a couple months ago when we had nothing to do. But Beer, what's happening, my friend?
It's been a while, my friend. So first of all, good to see you. And yeah, I mean, I thought this would be a perfect quarantine type time for somebody to jump in and get some best ball going. I think they would have killed it, but nonetheless, we have it. And Underdog, we know the people that brought us draft that we love so much. They're the people behind Underdog Fantasy. So good to do a show here, and I'm on the clock. So I gotta make a pick here.
Like top 5, nothing crazy here. McCaffrey, Barkley, Elliott, Alvin Kamara. You went Dalvin Cook. I've been teetering, and I'm interested to get your thoughts because I know he's not going to get to me. But I've been like teetering, getting like Mixon in that 5 and 6 spot. I'm really high on Joe Mixon this year. I think he's someone that I don't think he's going to drop to 10, but like I've been kind of reaching for him a little bit. He's my guy. Like him and John Brown. I feel like I have John Brown on every team.
I'll disagree with John Brown, but I'm with you 100% on Joe Mixon. I love Joe Mixon. So if he gets beyond those top 5, I'm having a hard time putting him over Dalvin Cook. Now, if we still get a lot of uncertainty with Dalvin Cook and this contract deal, I have no issues moving Mixon up to 5. And in fact, I did a running back best ball video and made the claim that Joe Mixon will finish RB1. So I'm pretty high on him as well. I think this offense is going to be better than people realize. Joe Burrow, I think, can make an instant impact. You get AJ Green back on the field. We know what Tyler Boyd is. They're set up for success here, and Mixon going to be a big part of that.
And he's like a workhorse back too. Like we don't have a lot of those anymore. I actually got him at 10. I really did not expect to get him at 10. This is the furthest I've drafted in a $25 Best Ball Mania so far, but was not expecting them. So I'm back on the clock, and then I'm going to tell you guys, like, it's really hard for me not to take Tyreek Hill here. Like, I love like his overall ceiling in best ball. Like he has those like 3 or 4 weeks that like just sets you apart from everyone else.
Yeah, and that's what you want. If you can get a couple big weeks, he can be frustrating in season long. He's by the end of the year, numbers look good, but he can still, even in that offense, give you some weeks that you're kind of scratching your head. But he can also carry you to a league-winning week. So always a nice guy to have. The ceiling just immense with him.
Yeah, he's the guy. Like if you get into that like playoff period and like you're competing for like so. All right, Underdog Fantasy, they recently launched. They have $1 million best ball tournament. If you haven't tried it out, use promo code Grinders after depositing. There's no bonuses available on Underdog, but you're entered into a random drawing for RotoGrinders Core for 5-day pass. Passes, I'm guessing we're going to give away more than one. And a RotoGrinders Underdog t-shirt. The promo code screen comes up after you deposit. Use Grinders. Like Beer said, this is the same group of people that brought us Draft, the app that we all really loved and enjoyed playing on. So if you haven't checked them out, use promo code Grinders. But they do have this. It's the $1 million Best Ball Mania tournament. It's $25. That's what we're currently drafting right now. And it's $200,000 to first. So like Tyreek Hill is a guy, if I'm in that playoff period trying to get to that $200,000, like he could make the whole difference. And like I feel like that's guys that you want in like your first 3 or 4 picks are those types of guys and your floor guys. And then like when you get into like round 10 to 14, you're hoping that you get those like guys that just, set you just enough apart throughout the rest of the season.
Yeah, I mean, the first few rounds, it almost draft themselves. It's kind of cliche to say, but that's not where you win your draft. A lot of people put so much thought in who am I going to take at 1-4, all this. I mean, you really can't go wrong. Outside of injury, I don't see many of those top 10 running backs not being great. So that's not the part you want to get into. It's when you start getting into this point of the draft, 3rd round, 4th round, the middle rounds, and even later in the draft, hitting on the Lamar Jacksons in the 12th round and, Eckler's late. And those are the ones that carry you to winning some of these big contests.
I don't see anything that's been like super crazy here. Hopkins just went. I really like Hopkins this year. Like he could just have a gazillion targets in that offense. You took Aaron Jones. That doesn't shock me. You took a Green Bay guy.
I got to get a little home cooking in here, buddy.
Listen, I love Aaron Jones when they let him play. I think Green Bay is a team that has the potential to do really well. Like, and like they're a team you could stack too. With Rodgers and stuff later on in the draft where you don't have to reach too much. So you can get wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, pair it with Jones, pair it with Rodgers. I don't want to like give away what you're doing here, but
no. I'm a big Green Bay fan for sure, but I don't know how much Aaron Rodgers I'm going to have this year. I mean, it's a team that wants to run the ball, rely on their defense. I think the worries about Aaron Jones have gone a little too far. I mean, do I expect him to score 19 touchdowns again this year? No. Do I expect A.J. Dillon to have a role? Of course. I still think Aaron Jones can be viable. Let's say he gets me 10 touchdowns. He's involved in the passing game, a team that wants to run the ball a ton. I mean, I have no issues taking him there. I've seen him go early second. That's a little early, but if I can get him later in that second round, all about it. I got sniped on Jonathan Taylor. Speaking of home cooking, that's where I was going to go next. But and to me, there's
running back. This is where running back gets really ugly.
Yeah, that's just going to say there's a drop off right after that. It kind of gets into the Gurley, Fournette, an area that I just would rather go high end wide receiver here. Juju Smith-Schuster was my pick. Love Juju. Been saying it all summer. I think he returns the form here and give you a top 5 season.
Juju is someone we were drafting end of round 1, beginning of round 2 last year, and like we're getting him mid 3, end 3, beginning of 4 this year. It's crazy how much a year will make a difference on like a wide receiver, and like he's healthy. Like I follow him on Instagram. He's working out every day, playing video games and hanging out with his dog. But like, Juju's my guy. I love Juju. So love that pick. I did a draft with Eric Crane last week or the week before, and like I got Leonard Fournette and I instantly regretted it. So I'm not going to go Fournette here. I like Allen Robinson's overall upside here. So I'm going to go with A-Rob with my third pick. I'm already turning into a wide receiver team after my first pick of Mixon here, back-to-back wide receivers.
It's important that, a lot of people, what's the winning strategy to a draft? How do I win one of these things? I think you have to be adaptive to what the draft's giving you. I mean, you definitely want to come in with an idea of what do I want to do, but sometimes the draft's not going to allow you to do that. And you can kind of adjust on the fly. I've built stacks that I had no idea I was even going to build. And then, you have a couple pieces and you just kind of make it a focus. So one tip for the people that I like to do as I draft skill position players, I'll throw the quarterback for that team in my queue, just as a kind of a reminder that, all right, I have a Steeler. So Ben Roethlisberger, a guy that I want to look at, or, maybe it's some more Packers down the line or whatever it may be, just to kind of keep in the back of my mind that I want to build not only one stack. If I can build a couple stacks into one lineup, I think that's the ideal way, especially in these bigger contests to really do some damage.
Yeah, I think stacking is super important. I'm with you on that. I think paying attention to your bye weeks is super important too. Like I don't want any of my like running backs with my first like 3 or 4 running backs to have the same bye week. So like I think that's super important. I'm debating here. I think I'm going to go Lev Bell over Gurley. Maybe my phone's not letting me. There it goes. Oh, maybe. Nope.
Oh,
there it goes.
Right at the buzzer. He got it.
Got it right at the last second.
So you're a Lev Bell guy, because I'm on the opposite side of this. I kind of keep moving him down, and just the concerns there with Adam Gase, and we know they're going to give Frank Gore carries. That offensive line is a disaster. Did he even want Lev Bell there? Does he even want to be there? So what's the love for Lev Bell? Just give me the case here.
Oh man, I really didn't want Fournette. I have no idea what to expect from Melvin Gordon in Denver, with like 5 running backs on the squad right now for them, and Todd Gurley. Like, what do we expect from him health wise? So like Bell, I just went with the healthy guy. Like, there's no rhyme or reason that I went Bell there. I just process of elimination on the 4 or 5 running backs, because I feel like there's some wide receivers that I like late, and I feel like this 4th pick there's these running backs like you got Melvin Gordon, you got Bell, you have Gurley, Montgomery. There's guys here like that, you can kind of get in this fourth round as like an RB2 or an RB3. Even like some people draft 4 running backs off the bat, and if that's your strategy, like if I do 4 running backs my first 4 picks, I probably don't end up with another running back though. Maybe one late, but like I'm going wide receiver heavy after that.
Yeah, it's tough to do 4. I've done
Yeah.
where I've done some drafts where I have 3, especially if you're picking early and you get that wraparound pick at the 2-3 turn. James Conner's a guy I like there,
Yep.
Taylor, but starting 3 receivers in this format, this is like the sweet spot for receivers for me. Rounds 3 through 6, I generally want to take at least 3 receivers there. I have no issues going 4 in a row if I do start 2 running backs, but this is where I think you really want to hammer home and capture some of the value while people are reaching on David Montgomery's and some of these other guys because they're panicking at running back. You sit back and kind of gobble up some of these receivers.
Yeah, like half point PPR. We obviously should say that. Like half point PPR, like that's definitely important to note because like a guy that is somewhat interesting is a guy like Akers and like these guys that you can kind of get in the 5th round, 6th round sometimes. You just gotta like DeAndre Swift. Like we have no idea what to expect, but like a half point PPR, like maybe I'm taking a guy that might have more touchdown equity or something. So it's interesting, and you mentioned like you got to adapt. I feel like buy rounds are something that people just don't pay attention to enough. Like, and I'm listen, I'm a victim too. Like I did it the other day. I did one of those $5 bubble tournaments the other day where I was waiting for something, and like I got to the late part of it, and like I had like 6 wide receivers with the same buy round. Like, oops.
Well, any other side of that is okay. You sacrifice that week. You're going to have one bad week, but you're going to be really strong in the other week. So I pay attention to it, probably not as much as I should. But here's a guy I love. Will Fuller is a guy continuing.
Oh, you took my guy. You sniped him right from me.
This may be the sinking of my ship. There's always that guy that I tend to overdraft every year, but I just think if he stays healthy, he can return you a 2nd round value. And we know health the question, but that's why he's being drafted in the 5th round. I think he can step right in and not replicate what Hopkins did, but come pretty damn close.
Oh, you took my guy here. Man, like I love Will Fuller. Like we don't really like we've seen him healthy for a little while, but we haven't like had a full season of Will Fuller. And like you're drafting him knowing you're probably going to miss 4 or 5 weeks, but the 4 or 5 weeks that you miss, hopefully like he makes up for in the other weeks. His upside is just so high. I'm going to go with Diggs here. I really like Diggs. Moving to Buffalo. Allen has a target now. I think Singletary is going to be a guy that like comes into his own this season. I think Buffalo could win that division. With New England kind of they had so many guys opt out on the defensive side. So like Miami's defense wasn't great already. New England defense is going to be bad. Like they had so many guys opt out, and the Jets, we know they don't play defense. So I think Buffalo is a sneaky like team to target in best balls. I said this like if you watch the show that I did last time, I said this last time. It was a stack that I was really focusing on to get. But yeah, I think Buffalo could be really sneaky good this year.
Yeah, I agree. The worry is they're going to be very good all around defensively. We know they love to run the ball. We know Josh Allen loves to run the ball. So it's not going to be on a dearth of targets for Stephon Diggs, but he could get there on big plays. We know Josh Allen, not accurate, but he's going to throw the ball down the field, and that fits well with what Diggs does. So I don't disagree there at all. I think at that point, he provides good value. Kind of get to that pocket where there's another drop-off of receivers. He stands at the top of that next tier for me.
Yeah, like, I was able to get Singletary too. So I got my running back wide receiver combo that I wanted there. Dobbins went right after me. Saw Devontae Parker get picked. Kareem Hunt went like on the turn there. Like, I don't really know what to expect for Kareem Hunt, but like he's a guy that can score you some touchdowns. If they use like that 2 wide running back set and they like do some dump offs to Hunt could definitely pay off in the 5th, 6th round.
Yeah, he's a guy I like for sure. He has standalone value. something happens to Chubb, he can step right in and really outdo the price that you're going to pay for him. So this is always a tricky spot in the draft here. You load up on some receivers. Do I want to go a fourth receiver? Do I want to dive into that tight end area? The running backs have kind of dove off the cliff. So I'm going to go with T.Y. Hilton here if my phone's going to allow me to. We'll see. Got it. Again, a guy, if he can stay healthy, this offense I think it's going to be very good. Rivers, we kind of saw fall off a cliff, but I think they'll be able to protect him. I think there'll still be enough big plays for T.Y. Hilton in this offense.
The targets, we saw that like Rivers is a guy that's going to spread it out, but like he still gets his guy. Like Allen is still a guy that he got targets every game. So I think Ty could you be even a little bit better with Rivers back there, with noodle arm Rivers back there. Like, I think like when you're in this range, you like decide like, am I going like a T.Y. Hilton? Am I going like a Darren Waller? Or am I going, a higher end quarterback? And like, I tend not to pick quarterbacks in the first like 5-6 rounds. Like, I love to get quarterbacks in like the 9th, 10th round. There's plenty of quarterbacks with upside that you can kind of pair together to just get your overall upside. So, are you a 2 quarterback guy? You a 3 quarterback guy, or do you just let it kind of dictate itself?
It depends how many stacks am I building. What caliber of quarterbacks do I have? Like right now, my mindset is I have Tyler Lockett and I have Will Fuller. So Russell Wilson, Deshaun Watson are guys that I'm going to consider. As soon as I say the name Russell Wilson, he gets drafted. That's just how it goes. You say the name, they're gone. But normally, I'll wait and then I'll probably take 3 just because I don't have that lock and load stud. If I were to get, say, a Watson Wilson, say I'll go back to back here, I'm fine rolling with 2. And if you get injured, you get some guys hurt, so be it. You're probably not going to win anyway. So same thing at the tight end position. It's generally 2 or 3. Just depends on if I wait and take some later guys, I'm probably going to grab 3 of them.
Yeah, like last year I was a huge like 2 QB guy. I would tend to get like 2 decent quarterbacks that stayed healthy, and like it did well. Like my best balls, like last year was the best year that I had. So I have noticed that I have been taking more 3 quarterbacks this year though. I don't know if it's because I keep taking Tua with my last pick or what, but like I've ended up with a lot more 3 quarterbacks this year than I have, in the past couple years. So I am almost always a 3 tight end guy, because I don't tend to get a high end tight end. So like I'm almost always a 3 tight end guy. I don't take a lot of running backs usually, especially in this format. Like it's a max 3 running back per week. So like I don't typically take a ton of running backs. I like 5, 6 max usually.
Yeah, I'm the same, especially if you load up early. That's a position you can kick down the road for quite some time. And, receiver, again, the receiver to me runs 50, 60 guys deep, where running back, you're dropping off. Then you're reaching, where I think running back comes back around, where there's guys that you can kind of roll the dice on late as bench guys. But I had a little dilemma there. I was on the clock. I'm thinking stacks. So I'm looking, I have Fuller. I'm thinking Watson. So I grabbed Brandon Cooks, knowing Dak Prescott was still on the board. See if Deshaun Watson can make it back to me. Now, you're coming up here. I shouldn't have.
I'm not taking Watson, but I would be shocked if he made it back to you.
I will as well. So I kind of rolled the dice going with 2 receivers on the same team, not having the quarterback. So we'll see how it works out here.
All right, so I'm gonna roll the dice here. I really want James White, but I'm gonna take Josh Allen because I really want my Buffalo stack. So I'm hoping James White will come back to me in like 3 or 4 picks here. Like I feel like it's worth the risk because I really want a Buffalo stack. Like I have my 3 Buffalo guys. I have my stack that I put in place. Like I really want White. Like I think James White could be a huge difference maker type of RB2, RB3 this year. So we'll see how it happens. Like Watson was there, so maybe I get Josh Allen coming back, but like everybody that was after me did not have a quarterback selected yet. So I'm gonna go and hope I get my boy James White on the way back. So if you get Deshaun Watson, I'll be shocked.
I will as well. That I was just gonna say what you just said makes a ton of sense, and it's something I kind of preach is don't be afraid to reach for your quarterback to complete your stack. The worst thing you can do is get a stack started and then you wait and you risk it with your quarterback, which is exactly what I just did. So don't do what I did. Do what Stevie's saying. Go grab your guy. So I rolled the dice. If I can end up with Fuller, Cooks, and Watson, obviously I'd be happy with that. But
Got my guy.
Got to dodge a couple bullets here.
Yeah, you only gotta wait like what four more picks?
He's going one pick right before me.
Well, I don't think he'll go one pick in front of you. That DTLB guy has 2 quarterbacks already. So like you got to get through these. Nope. Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, I
right.
mean, that's good value there. That's all right.
That's a great pick though. Like getting Deshaun Watson in the middle of the 8th. Like you would have been sitting really pretty getting Watson at 8-8 there to complete your stack.
People is why you just grab your quarterback when you need to. So lesson learned here. Let me take the hits for you before you put your 25 up. But still happy with Fuller, and Cooks is a guy that can still give me some big weeks. So even without Watson in play, I have the top 2 receivers for that offense. So it's not all lost there.
Yeah, this is where the draft kind of shapes up a little bit. Like you have, some tight end value here. You have some wide receiver value and stuff like that. The guy that I want to bring up to you just to kind of get your overall thoughts. He's way down still. Like he's 15 to 25 picks away still. But like a topic of conversation this year is obviously the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Like, what have you been doing with Gronk? Because like if he plays 50% from like the 50-yard line down to the red zone and stuff, like he could be a beast. But like we really don't know what to expect. But we do know like Tom Brady still loves Rob Gronkowski. He begged him to come back to this team. Like, what are you doing with trying to delay enough to let you get your pick in here? But
you're good. I can multitask. I got 3 kids. You got kids at home.
Yeah,
you got to have that multitasking in your tool belt. You're gonna be in trouble. So
do this for a few years, and we're way past a few years, buddy.
For sure. We juggle a kid, do a draft, talk with everybody all at the same time. So right there, I went to Sean Jackson. I just love him in this format. We know he's going to give you those big weeks. I don't have to try to guess what week that's going to be. Just a guy I can count on it to give me some production. And if he stays healthy, he's shown he can be a top 10 receiver. So that's my take there. As far as Gronk, early on, I was excited about it, just thinking about the possibilities. But you start looking around and Evans, Godwin, Gronk. I mean, they're going to go 2 tight end sets. I wouldn't discount OJ Howard. So you're really counting on touchdowns. And I think a lot of the tight end position outside of the studs, that's kind of what you need to break your way. A later guy that catches 8-10 touchdowns. He can certainly do that. I'm kind of cooling on the idea though of Gronk. It's one of those fascinating guys, because he can be a beast, but do we get the Gronk we saw at the end of his New England tenure, or do we get a guy that's refreshed, renewed, and ready to go here with Tampa? So
he looks great.
Guy. Yeah, he does for sure. But doesn't everyone look great right now?
Yeah, like everybody just worked out for the last 6 months instead of did anything else because we're in a pandemic. But yeah, like I still think I prefer like Higbee and like Hayden Hurst above Gronk. But like Gronk has been a guy that has slowly like. So 2 weeks ago when I did the show with Eric Crane, it was the first like best ball draft I've done. Well, like let me tell you that that sparked an interest because I've been doing a ton of them. So I've definitely seen Gronk rise even in like a 2-week period. So yeah. Johnson.
I didn't realize I was on the clock and I better make a pick. So yeah. Carry on Johnson it is.
There you go.
I got no analysis for that one. I do think that will be, he's another guy I think people are writing off a little too soon. Now the Indy situation, I think Jonathan Taylor takes over there sooner than later. I think Dobbins becomes the guy in Baltimore sooner than later. I don't know that Detroit's just going to unleash DeAndre Swift. I like him. When you brought him up, there was that group of a couple running backs that I agree with. You get to that point, it's Akers, it's Swift, it's Kareem Hunt. I think that's a good time to steer away from receivers and, get your second, third running back there. But I don't know that Swift's just going to automatically get 20 touches here. Carry on a lot of injuries, but a guy that's shown he can play in this league when he is healthy. So I've made worse picks under the gun here. So I'll take it.
Hey, listen, I have a few Geist teams in my builds this year.
Hey,
So
well, it happens to everybody.
yeah, like especially on those fast drafts. Like I feel like the fast drafts, like it's so quick. You just gotta be paying attention. You definitely gotta know like somewhat of a strategy on what you want to do going into it. But um, yeah, Sherry Lynn Ridgeway in chat says hi all. If you guys are over on YouTube, feel free ask any questions. Like if you have any best ball questions, Beer probably has like 500 best balls done by now. Like he is a guy that lives for fantasy football and this kind of stuff. So, um, feel free to fire up questions over there on the YouTube chat. Again, if you haven't checked out Underdog Fantasy, they have an app on the iOS, they have an app on the Android. Use the promo code Grinders so you're entered in to chance to win some RG swag and premium here. And man, I really wanted to go double tight end there. I was really hoping Hurst got back to me.
I love Hurst too
Um,
this year. I have Hurst 6th overall on my tight ends. I have him over Gronk, over Hunter Henry. The beauty is you don't have to take him there either, but I think he
yeah.
can step in and really give a lot of what Austin Hooper gave and even more in that offense.
Yeah, so I ended up going Gronk. I wanted double tight ends in that round. Like I had my mindset that I was going double tight ends there. I'll probably add a third tight end really late here. I'm really happy with those two tight ends, but I was really like I'm on Hurst too. I have a lot of Hurst. I think like he could be just a touchdown machine. Like we saw Hooper just be a touchdown machine in this offense, and like they love to throw Julio all the way down until the inside the 10, and like then they forget about who how good Julio Jones is. And teams run defensive schemes and stuff. But um yeah, James Malloy says Big Ben in for a big year this year with some new weapons. I know you already took Juju. What are your thoughts here on Ben Roethlisberger coming into this season?
I'm in full agreement. I love this. I mean, there's not a piece in that offense I don't like. I love James Conner. I love Juju. Big fan of Ben late. Deontay Johnson is everybody's sleeper for the year. Hell, even Eric Ebron, Stevie, I think is going to
Yeah.
be good in this offense. So that's a stack that's pretty easy to build. Even if you miss out on one of the higher end guys, you could start with a Deontay Johnson, Ben, grab Ebron, even James Washington. I think will have some decent weeks. So that's been a priority stack for me to build. It's certainly on queue for me here. Like I said, I grab skill players. I put their quarterbacks in queue. So I got Ben staring at me. The issue is the beauty actually is there's still Wentz, Breeze, Brady, Rodgers. I mean, there's a lot of guys that have to go before Ben would even be selected. So it's just keeping an eye on things, knowing ADPs, knowing when you need to pounce. But again, like you made the move with Josh Allen, and not say you took him early, but don't be afraid to grab your guy to get your stack going.
Yeah, don't ever be afraid to take your guy. Like, you're doing this, and like this is where your takes are either gonna work out or they're not. Like if you have a take on someone, and like me, I'm high on Buffalo. Like I'm drafting that way for best ball. If Buffalo has a big season, I probably, have a good best ball season and like make some money. Best ball drafts are done before the season even starts. We have a lot of uncertainties, a lot of question marks going into the season. Like, so don't be afraid. Like, if you're high on somebody, take them. Like, you never know what's going to happen. So
Yeah, this is the time ADP kind of goes out the window. I mean, you still
mhm.
want to know where guys are being picked and don't reach 4 rounds for somebody, but go get your guy. I always think if I miss out on this guy, I'm going to be pissed instead of taking this guy. There's always that one or two guys you get to this point that if you're going to be pissed that you missed out on a guy, just go take him and don't
Yep.
try to chance it.
Because the person that's drafting right behind you could have the same thought. So you never
Right.
know. Someone in chat, Ja'Cory, what's a good strategy for beginners? Like, well, first I would tell you, like, make sure you know what you're playing. Make sure you know if you're playing like I have way different strategy for like the 10 and 12 man like cash game type of like best balls I've been drafting, and then like the $5 and $25 like big tournaments. I'm guessing you're the same, right, Beer? Like you have to have a different type of like floor slash upside type of strategy in those for me. I do anyway.
Yeah, for sure. The first thing I would say is start with the lower buying amounts.
Yep.
Start with some of the cheaper drafts and kind of get your feet wet, get used to the app. I like to set up my own rankings because you can be easily influenced by the site's rankings, and that's anywhere. You're drafting on ESPN, you're drafting on Yahoo. use your own rankings. And if you don't make your own projections, we have rankings at RotoGrinders. There's a lot of good rankings out there. So that's first, but ease into it. Understand the settings. Understand I have to take 3 wide receivers and start 3 receivers. That is something people get caught up in, all these running backs, and you can't start all these running backs, but I could end up starting 4 or 5 receivers in a week. So just knowing the settings, knowing it's half point PPR, all these little differences that it seems minute, it seems minor, but your opponents know that they can expose that, and it puts you behind the 8 ball just with something as simple as not knowing the scoring or the lineups.
Yeah, know your positions for sure. Like we were talking about, like, so in cash games, like if you're building a cash lineup, you're taking 3 quarterbacks. You cannot. I'm not going to say you can't, but there is a good chance you are not going to win if like one of your guys gets hurt or one of your guys gets hurt and the other guy's on a bye week. So like if you get a 0 out of a quarterback in a cash game format, you're behind already. So I just took my 5th running back. I took my last running back. I'm not going to take any more running backs. I took Keyshawn Vaughn. He's someone that I really like. If Brady's here, I'm taking him. I don't want Brady, but I would have a 3-man stack at that point. Again, you have to adapt to the strategy. I did not come into this draft saying I want Tom Brady, because that was one of the last guys that I wanted. But if he has like a 3 or 4 touchdown week and hits these guys, like the overall upside of a stack in these big $25, $200,000 at a first type of tournaments is stacking sometimes. So yeah, like if Brady's here in a second, he is here. So like I'm ending up with Brady. Beer, I did not want Brady, but I'll take 3 Tampa Bay Bucks. They're on opposite bye weeks of my other 3-man stack that I have, and like I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, adapting as you go. And again, stacks don't have to start in the beginning of the draft. They can come together organically. Hell, you could start a stack now of a team like I stacked Chicago the other day. I'm not even proud to admit that, but got Anthony Miller, had Allen Robinson earlier in the draft. And the issue is guessing what quarterback it's going to be. But, there's cheaper teams, the Jets, that you can, grab a Crowder, a Chris Herndon, and grab Sam Darnold late. So many ways to do it, but stacking should always be at the forefront of what you're thinking here.
Yeah, like I'm in these, like the other, we were answering that question as like, what's a good strategy for a beginner? You mentioned like feel it out first. I think they have like $3 drafts on there. Do like 5, 6, 3. Like I would even go up to like 10 $3 drafts before you like get into anything else. Like you have to see how, like we're talking about, you have to adjust every draft. You don't pick from the same spot every draft. Like this is the furthest I've picked down. I have not picked from 11th through 12th yet. I haven't picked in the top 2 yet either. So like I feel like my sweet spot has been 7 this year. Like I don't know why, but like I feel like I keep getting 7. So I'm very familiar what to do at like 7. So like yeah, I would definitely, man, even if you're doing slow drafts, however you want to do it, just get a feel for the drafts. Like football season's a couple weeks away now, so like you're running out of feeler time, but there's still plenty of time. Like you can set up 5, 6, 7, 8 slow drafts at a time here and like really get an idea of what you want to get going before you like get into one of these fast drafts. So I think that's super important. We did have another question in here, Beer. What do you think about Carson this year?
I'm probably not as high on him as a lot. I hear a lot of talk about him, and I get it, but I really think this offense is going to start to not go away from being run heavy, but balance things out a little more. I mean, they have a generational quarterback there that they hide until the 4th quarter, and then you see this guy go absolutely ham in the 4th. So I like Carson. We saw him come alive in the pass catching department last year. I just have him a step below that one tier we talked about. The James Conner, Jonathan Taylor. He's right below that, above the Le'Veon Bell, Melvin Gordon, some of those veterans in that tier. So I like him. I just don't like him as much as a lot of people out there. I'm kind of lukewarm on him, we'll say.
It's funny. You're talking about like how you ended up on like a Chicago stack. One of my best stacks last year was Detroit. It happened on one of these live shows and like we laughed about it at the time, but like Kenny Galladay, like he had a beast season. So like a Detroit stack last year was one of my best like tournament teams. So you never really know. Like, that's the fun thing about like drafting ahead of time. Like Galladay led wide receivers and touchdowns last year, if I remember correctly. So you never know what you're gonna get. Beer, like
That's the
how many
fun of
wide
it.
receivers scored more than 10 touchdowns last year? What, 3, 4, maybe? Like, so I don't know. I know a lot of people are like super against going running backs. I let the draft kind of dictate itself.
Yep. And when you're new, back to that beginner question, practicing different types of drafts, grabbing a bunch of running backs early and seeing what your team looks like, and going zero RB, or grabbing that one stud and waiting, or going wide receiver heavy. What does it look like if I take a Kittle or Kelsey in the second round? So just practicing all the different scenarios. But we can't stress enough, be flexible, be open,
Yeah.
because the draft is never going to go how you think it's going to go. So you just have to be able to adapt, build stacks on the fly, and that's where practicing really comes into play.
So I ended up there with Jefferson from Minnesota. I'm about to go like super wide receiver heavy. I only have like 3 or 4 wide receivers now. So um I don't know really what to expect from him, but I do feel like Diggs being gone, there's a role to be filled there. So I'm hoping that it could potentially be Jefferson. Like Thielen is not a guy that I feel like can go out and be like a 15 target, 10, 12 catch guy every game. He'll have games, but I'm just going to be reaching. Like I'm hoping that Pittman Jr. sits here. Like we talked about, your boy Phillip Rivers likes to, kind of spread it out a little bit. He got taken right before. I don't know what to do now. You know what? I'm gonna take my third quarterback and be done with my quarterbacks positions now too. I'm gonna take Burrow.
I like that.
Listen,
I think there's a lot of upside in Joe Burrow. I
there
really do.
is like I have two stacks in Burrow now, so like I just need him to like have a couple ceiling weeks, and I think I'll be okay.
And he gives you upside with his legs. He ran a
Yep.
lot and more than people think at LSU. So that's something we know in fantasy. You want your quarterback to run. You don't have to have it. There's guys like Matt Ryan, Matthew Stafford that can still be valuable. But did I really just get sniped in the 14th round? Come on, man. Justin
Take your
Jackson
boy.
was going to be
Take
the
your
play.
boy.
I need to fortify my tight end position a little bit. So we'll go Dallas Goedert, who's still here in the 14th round. That's good value.
Good value in the 14th from Goddard. We know what to expect from him. So, did you see the Minshew thing? Like draft Minshew #1 overall.
The
campaign
case of Bud Light on the line.
Like, these drafts cost $25, and that $6 or $7 6-pack of Bud Light. I don't know if I could take Minshew #1 beer.
No, I really like him this year. Like he's one of my favorite late round court, because if you put his numbers side by side with Kyler Murray, guess what? They're pretty similar. So not saying he's going to finish top 5, but he was QB9 the games that he was healthy and played the first 8 or 9 weeks of the season. So they're going to be bad. I think Chenault's going to be a great addition there. We know DJ Chark a stud. If they can get anything out of Westbrook or Keelan Cole, you have Fournette there, Chris Thompson to catch balls. Tyler Eifert could be a viable tight end option, and he runs. He ran for a lot of yards last year. So any guy that can scare the coronavirus away, buddy, is in my book. He said, "Take one look at me," and the coronavirus ran away. That's my kind of guy right there. I would love to have a beer with Gardner Minshew. I'm just going to put that on the record.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Oh,
That'd be a blast. Like he would be someone that like out of all the players, he'd definitely be. So somebody asked if we could pull up the board part of the app so they could kind of follow along better what's going on. It's up. You're welcome. I like the board. I think it was a great addition to Underdog. It's really cool to see. So yeah, like I think Beer, you're sitting with 6 spot. You're really balanced position wise in this draft. You got 2 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 6 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. You did a much better job than your co-host here as far as like balancing your players out.
I like to have the balance because then I can go in any direction.
Yep.
Then I can really adapt to the draft. I don't feel desperate to have to go one position or another. Although there's not much here that I'm really loving. I'm gonna take a shot here on Kansas City. DeAndre Washington is a guy they brought in, a guy very familiar with Patrick Mahomes. They go back to college days together. We know CH is going to be the guy, but I think there's room there for multiple running backs. So at this point in the draft, I'm looking for upside. I'm looking for good offenses, especially if there's not a guy you like. Stick with the Kansas Cities, the Dallases, guys like that of the world. So just adding a little depth here. Not much else really standing out. Can still go another quarterback if I feel the need, another tight end. So just good to be open and have options.
Yeah, like I don't know what I'm gonna do here. I'm going wide receiver heavy. I'm gonna take one more tight end eventually, but like the rest of my draft is completely wide receivers here. I'm glad that one of us can get sniped. I'm gonna get sniped in the 15th round to one up you here because it will be a miracle, but I really want John Ross. Like I just got Burrow, and if I get Ross here, I almost took him with my last pick. So I'm gonna see. Like he's definitely gonna get sniped right here in front of me.
You said the name, so that's usually.
I know. Well, I gotta add a little drama to the show, right? Like you got sniped in the. Oh, I got him.
Ron Haas or something. There you go.
Yeah. Well, I got Ron. I'm glad. Welcome to the team, Ron. I'm shocked that I got him there. I'm happy about it, but I didn't see that one coming. I didn't see him getting back to me.
And talk about upside. I mean, this guy was wide receiver 1 there for a while early on in the season last year. So upgrade a quarterback. We already talked about that Cincinnati offense. So upside you're shooting for. And you out of one of these last couple, 3-4 picks, if you can hit a home run, that's going to give you a shot to do some damage in these big tournaments.
Yeah. I did not expect to end up with, 3 little like stacks here, but that's how the draft went. I was just kind of looking. Yeah, man, it gets ugly here. It gets really ugly.
Yes, it does.
I feel like I have to take D.D. Westbrook here. I feel like that team's not going to be great, and they're going to be playing from behind some here. So I don't hate D.D. there. I don't hate any of the guys that I'm going to get at this point.
No, he was next up on my list. You get into that area, him, Corey Davis, some of these guys that just haven't lived up to the hype. So don't worry with Westbrook. He's been dealing with a little bit of an injury. And it seems like Chenault's kind of moved past him. I just got sniped again in the 16th round.
Josh Reynolds.
Yeah, I think they're going to go back to a lot of 3 wide receiver sets. So I think he's a guy that they can kind of help fill some of that Brandon Cooks role. I know that a lot of talk, they're going to play a lot of 2 tight ends. I certainly think they'll do that, but he's going to find his way onto the field. So time to readjust here. I'm going to go way off the board here. Somebody's got to catch the ball outside of George Kittle in San Francisco. So Kendrick Bourne, Debo, I don't know when he's going to be back. Ayuk's dealing with an injury. Sanders is gone. I think Kendrick Bourne could be a nice sleeper for you late in drafts.
Yeah, I like him, and Brian Edwards is the other guy that I've been kind of ending up with late in drafts. So like those guys. We had a question in chat. Do you guys think about constructing some wonky offbeat combo of players to create a potential different DFS style lineup for this tournament?
Yeah, like we talked about earlier, I like to try to get multiple stacks in your line. Some people just focus on, okay, I got a stack. Well, I've had some teams where I've had 3 stacks, and then you're rolling into the playoffs with Detroit and Pittsburgh and New Orleans, something like that. And, you're feeling good about it there. So I don't go too far off just to be different in these kind of drafts. You do have to have a little bit of a GPP mindset, but I think incorporating more stacks is something not a lot of people do. Once they don't get, if you don't get the stud, a lot of people just say, oh, that stack is dead. Where I say there's still a lot of pieces to an offense like Pittsburgh where you can still build the stack. So just constantly thinking stack as much as you can.
Yeah, like I try to at least get 1 stack. I feel like you need at least 1 stack. I really like when I get 2. Was not expecting to get 3, but I think this might be the first one that I've done in the $25 where I've had a 3rd stack, and this stack came together really late. Like it wasn't. I wasn't. First of all, I wasn't expecting my second stack with Brady at all, but like I'll take it. I'm high on Vaughn this year. We have no idea what we're gonna get from Gronk, but we'll see what happens. But I got my Buffalo stack. That's been like my main stack. I know I've said this a couple times, but like that's been like my main stack for best ball so far. I just like where you can kind of put it together. But like I don't know. It's so tough. Like, if you can get an Arizona stack, I think that stack is really interesting this year with Murray and Hopkins. You were really close to putting together the Houston stack. Like, they're going to be a team that's going to struggle defensively, and they're going to have to, be throwing and stuff. And like, I like the Seattle stack too. I always like Russell Wilson in these. He gives you the floor outside of your stack and like mixes in those massive ceiling games. So like I guess like the question that like I've seen come up a lot as I've been drafting and like doing these shows is like Cam Newton question mark. And like I feel like we'll find out what Cam Newton's going to do with the Patriots in like week 3 or 4 by like because we really don't know. They're going to this defense like and I was looking at it like what 5-6 guys opt out of defense alone. So I don't know, man. I've ended up with some Cam teams. Don't feel great about it, but like you almost have to if this defense is going to struggle.
I love Cam. I didn't think I would say that, but the closer we get, you just think about the fit with New England. And is there a better coaching staff to adapt to what you do well? They're not going to expect him to come in and be Tom Brady. They're going to change the offense and they're going to get him. And he's not going to run like he used to. He's older, but he's still going to run. Think about how many times New England is in the red zone or gets down close and Tom Brady would sneak it in. Well, hell, now I have Cam Newton doing that. I mean, he could damn well score 10 touchdowns on the ground this year. So I don't think he needs the weapons around him. I think they're going to scheme to do what he does well. So I really like the fit. I don't see any way Jarrett Stidham's a better quarterback than Cam Newton unless he's completely washed, which I don't think he is. If he's healthy, top 5 upside, and you're getting him at QB 15, 16, that's the kind of play. If you're drafting late, he's probably my favorite late round quarterback, to be honest. If you're in a regular league, in one of these leagues, he's the guy that has the upside to kind of surprise and really jump up into that top group.
And so many people are afraid. Like they're so scared. Oh, he's not going to do anything. He's not going to run in New England and stuff. But
Don't
okay,
play
like
scared. Don't play
let's
scared.
see what happens.
Look at he's already been there. He's done that. He's shown you that ceiling. It's not like we're expecting Jimmy Garoppolo to be a top 3 quarterback. We're talking about a guy that can run with some of the best coaching in the league that are going to put him in positions to succeed. I just think he can rebound and be close to the guy that we saw be a top 3 quarterback.
All right, so I'm coming up on my last pick, my 18th pick here. I'm going to go tight end. I'm going to actually take CJ Uzma here. There are better tight ends on the board here, but I'm going to finish it off, Beer. I'm going to have 3-man stacks in this one and see like how it kind of plays out. Drew Sample's behind him as far as like tight end jobs in Cincinnati, but we've seen year after year after year young quarterbacks use their tight ends. So I don't hate taking him in the 18th to kind of like that Cincinnati stack. I'm going to look really quick. I think it all came together like the last 6 picks. So let's see. Uzma, Ross, Burrow, 14th, 15th, and 18th. So last 5 picks, I was able to get a stack. You can't say that about a lot of teams and feel okay with it, but like, John Ross is a guy that's shown us plenty of upside. So I don't hate it. Like Tyler Boyd and T. Higgins are there. Like they're not the best option. Like Ross is not the best option, but I don't.
All right, we'll get Stevie back here in a minute. I'm also going to go tight end here with my last pick. I'm going to go Greg Olson. I think with that team, not a lot of targets there outside of Lockett and Metcalf. So I think Olson can step in and really provide something there for them. They'd love to use the tight end position. And I think Olson, with Disley hurt, some of the other guys there can be a viable option there. So that wraps up our draft. So hopefully we get Stevie back here, but wanted to recap the team. So we'll take a look at his team while he's not here and see how he did. So Devin, I don't know if we can get a screenshot of his team or not. Okay. Let's see here. Well, we'll just read it off here. So he, like we talked about, he had some stacks going. So it's exactly what you want to do in this format. Built the Buffalo stack with Josh Allen, Devin Singletary at running back, Stephon Diggs. Built the Tampa Bay stack on the fly, which can't suggest enough. You have to build these stacks in when when that opportunity arises. So Tom Brady was there for him, Keyshawn Vaughn, and I lost the draft here. So uh yeah, I'm gonna my team real quick. I was able to build a few stacks as well. I missed out on the Houston stack, but did end up with a Philadelphia stack of Carson Wentz, Deshaun Jackson, and Dallas Goedert. So happy with that. And of course, the Pittsburgh stack grabbed Juju early, grabbed Ben, and then came back and grabbed Ebron. So the more you can stack, the better. It's just a lot of correlation. Sometimes you miss out on it. Doesn't mean the lineup is toast, but as many as you can build in, don't be afraid to stack 2 or 3 times. So I think that'll do it. I was hoping we could get Stevie back and recap things, but maybe next time down the line. So we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Again, go take advantage. Chance at some RotoGrinders Premium. So go look under the title here for some more information. But Underdog Fantasy, something for everybody. This Best Ball Mania is a lot of fun. They have a $5 version as well. Just a ton of fun to not only draft, get ready for your season-long drafts and for DFS season to know who's being picked where and kind of get a handle on things. So thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.